Welcome back to Burn the Ship, the podcast we connect entrepreneurs to professionals to help you go all in on your business. I'm your host, Ezra. Without further ado, I'm going to allow my guest to introduce himself.
Hey, Ezra. My name's Brian Ford. I own Building Futures Marketing out here in Mesa, Arizona area. Uh, Basically, we specialize in online marketing and SEO and stuff like that. So.
Awesome, man. Brian, first, I would like to say thank you for joining us. I know me and you've been going back and forth. It's awesome finally get you on. But tell us a little bit about Building Futures and kind of how you got into the marketing side. But really, tell us about how you got in the entrepreneur side first, and then we'll shoot some more questions in there.
So I got into the entrepreneurial side because I'm stubborn and I don't work well. I mean, I work well with people, but sometimes I don't always like people telling me what to do.
Right.
And so I got to the point to where like I wanted to kind of do my own thing, make more money, um, and that's kind of what led to it. And as far as the SEO is concerned, I was running a business with my ex-business partner. We were doing manufacturing and distribution. We were doing pretty well, and we were paying someone to do our website, and we were tightwads. So I'm like, oh, I can learn how to do a website, and so I got on YouTube. I learned how to build a website. But now you have a
Right.
website, you got to get people to kind of see where it's going. And so again, we started looking at pricing for doing SEO, and we were
Yeah.
tightwads. So we're like, no, I can do that. I can figure it out. And so I started and this was back in like 2012 and 2013. And so things were a lot different back then than they are now. And
Absolutely,
so
especially on the online marketing side for sure.
that's the truth. But the more I dove into it, I'm like, I really like doing this. And I realized to do it well, you really needed to focus on it. Like you could do okay with it, but like if you really wanted to do it well, you really had to put a lot of time into it. So I talked
Right.
with my business partner. He wanted to go to law school anyway. And so he went to law school. I started my marketing company. He's a lawyer now, and I've been doing this for like 10 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you had that entrepreneur spirit, so you kind of knew what it took to run a business, to be on the top side of a business and run one from. Did y'all start that business from the ground up, the manufacturing business?
Yeah, we did. We did. I was working with another company as a sales rep, and they basically told me like, look, you're not hitting your potential. You need to go out and do this on your own. And I didn't want to do it on my own. I could have, but so he had just gotten out of commercial real estate at the time. And so we were kind of both looking for something, and we just let's go and do it. And so we kind of ran with it, and
Yeah.
the rest of us is that's why I always like kind of sales and marketing because you have a lot of flexibility, you're out and stuff. And so I was still working for someone, but I had the flexibility to kind of do what I wanted. But this
Yeah.
really kind of launched everything. And this is back in like 2010-ish.
That's awesome. And then take us back to about that time, put us back 2010, 2011-ish. Well, I guess 2012 is, you started your company, what, 2012?
I started doing the online SEO 2012 to 2013. I started building futures marketing in 2017. So I was
Uh-huh.
kind of like just doing stuff in the middle between the
Right.
2013 and 2017.
Yeah, let's get in that in the middle where you really knew that this was something that had traction for you. Kind of walk us through what was driving you to know that you had to build something in 2017. I know you said you liked it, whenever you were just kind of dabbling around with it. But what kind of really got you to jump off that ledge and be like, man, I'm about to do this?
So I had gotten married in 2010.
Huh?
And by 2014, we had two kids. We were going to be having another one. And I realized I want to be able to have the flexibility to kind of do whatever we want. Right.
Right.
And so that's when I really started looking at it. Like, and I was doing it and I was doing okay with it. But, I wasn't, I wasn't sure exactly where it was going. Like, was I
Right.
going to get really good at it and then go work at a business and run their SEO, or was I going to do it as my own business? And
Right.
so there were advantages and disadvantages to both. And I actually worked with a couple companies in between then, where they would give me the flexibility to run my business and run in their marketing department, do their SEO. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
well, that's the best of both worlds. And that's kind of how it developed. And then it just got to a point to where I was too busy, and I had to go out and basically just do everything with my business so I could be more effective for the clients that I was working with. But the
Yeah.
thing that I liked about it is it gave me like the flexibility to kind of like spend more time with the kids and with my
Mm-hmm.
family. And well, we have 8 kids now. If that tells you anything. So they're
Got
expensive.
busy.
Yeah, they're amazing, but they're a lot of work.
Absolutely. How old's the oldest?
13.
Oh yeah, you ain't even hit the expensive years yet.
No, no, no. That's why I gotta prepare ahead of time.
I love that. I love that. We know in between all the time of you doing all this and building building your company in 2017, what would you say has been like that driving factors kind of helped you get business through this time, whether it be, obviously you're good at the online marketing side or you wouldn't be doing it, but what was it been like in the community, going out networking, what has been that biggest driver, for you?
Well, there's a couple of things. First thing is if the deeper you get into the SEO community, online marketing, you realize everybody works together. It's not competitive like cutthroat. I mean, you do get some elements of that sometimes, but
Right.
like everybody's testing stuff, everybody's working together, especially now that AI is integrating into anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's crazy fast. And so
Right.
you're kind of learning from everyone and everyone's getting your feedback. It's a really cool community to work with.
Right.
So that's why I love it. And then my wife is like she pushes me. She pushes me to my limits in a good way. Like she's amazing. And
Right.
so a lot of sorry, a lot of my success I'll drive to her, and just like
Yeah.
the SEO community in general is a great community to work in.
So inside that SEO community, you guys are kind of bouncing around referrals or like, kind of, hey, this is kind of my strength, Brian, you have your strength, let's kind of collaborate on this. What does that look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that happens a lot. I actually have a friend out here. His name is Shannon. We do a lot of work back and forth like that. He specializes in some things. I do other things. So
Right.
whenever, for example, I do a lot with Google business profiles and stuff like that. I'm a Grow with Google partner, so I do training and workshops
Okay.
for Google to teach businesses that.
Yeah.
And so because I specialize in that, whenever he has issues with that, he comes to me. I like to build websites. He does them a lot more. So when I'm running into issues with that, I go to him. So, but that happens a lot of times. Like I can do e-commerce. I don't particularly like to. I know people who
Right.
do installs. And so, yeah, you collaborate and go back and forth. And yeah, that's pretty common in the industry.
That's
Just because
awesome. Yeah. And then outside of that, do you do any like outside networking for your business at all? Like, go sit down at like a BNI group or a Power Cores, any of these local groups you got in the communities where you go sit down with other local business owners at all?
I fought that for a long time because a lot of the ones that I went to back in like 2000, like 2012 to 2014, 15ish, they just
Yeah.
weren't any good. And I
Right.
was just in a bad place. And so actually Shannon, the one that I was telling you about, he started going to a BNI out here, and
Uh huh.
he needed a fill in. And I'm like, I'll go, but I hate networking groups. He
Right.
was like, just do it for me. I'm like, all right, that's cool. We worked back and forth enough that I didn't mind doing it. And
Right.
so I went there, and it was different than anything I'd been in. And so there were actually some people that I had known from other phases of my life that I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And so it became a joke. I actually became like a perpetual sub for that group because everyone would ask Shannon, hey, is Brian available to sub? Hey, is Brian available to sub? It got to the point to where it was weird when I wasn't there, even though I wasn't
Right.
actually a member of the group. And so we just started a new BNI group out here in Santan Valley, where I live, just yesterday, actually. And
Really? That's
so,
awesome.
yeah. And so, but so you have to get into the right networking groups. I've been part of like some Chamber of Commerce's. A couple of them were like no good. Nobody did anything, but we had one in Mesa that was actually really good. And so you
Right.
kind of have to go and feel out the people who are a part of the group and how committed they are to working with each other.
Yeah, no, I absolutely see that. We do a lot of work with BNI.
Yeah.
The owner of our company used to go around Atlanta and start up a bunch of BNIs here.
Oh, nice.
And we do the credit card processing for BNI as a whole.
Okay.
So whenever you pay BNI, you know who you're paying.
You're about to get some of our money
Yeah,
because
right,
as
right.
soon as we
Typically,
get
the new
enough
ones start
people,
up at
yeah,
Square, but we'll talk about that later. That's a different conversation.
yeah.
But with BNI, it definitely does help because just that targeted network, and I completely get what you're saying because I network a ton, being what I do too. You never know what you're gonna get. You go to a 12 o'clock networking meeting, people half time they're just getting out of office for the lunch.
Yeah.
And they're getting that extra hour, extra 45 minutes for a lunch break because they get to go to a networking event for it. Make something of it.
Mhm.
I'm a advocate of morning and late afternoon networking stuff for sure. But
Yeah, the ones that we go to are 8 and 9.
with all
So
that stuff, in the network and growing the business, what did you kind of struggle with? Getting away from what you've done well and kind of what's helped you. What was those things you struggled with and you kind of needed that help with?
So a couple of things. I've got really bad ADD. So like
Yeah,
I've got like five different projects going on at once. And then I'll see something else. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. And so I'm like, oh, I've got all, and so it's fun because I've got all these different things going on. But then I'll get frustrated because I don't get one specific thing accomplished. That's actually one thing that my wife has been. She's really good at focusing on stuff, and so she'll come in and
right.
she's like, "What are you doing, Brian?" I'm like, "I got this," and she's like, "No, no, 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 no. Focus on one thing at a time." I'm like, "But." She was like, "Have you looked at your calendar?" I'm like, "No, I'm bad with calendars. I feel constricted by them." She was like, "You need to plan." And so that's the biggest struggle that I have, and that's a big strength that she has that she kind of pushes on me, and that's been really helpful.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good to have. That's good to have the yin and yang.
yeah, yeah, we definitely our strengths and weaknesses kind of match each other. That's been nice.
That's
But
awesome. And it's a big one, especially having people around you, that support system to kind of help you build around, gives you that that platform to stand there and it's stable when you come back and stand on it. It's not shaky.
yeah, yeah,
But what
exactly.
would you say, is that biggest driver for you going forward? What is this? What are your goals over the next 5 years? What's that going to look like for you?
So it could go one of two ways. Part of me thinks, oh, I want to have a big business where I've got a building that has my building features marketing, with people, employees and stuff. And that sounds like cool because then you have people that you're working with. And then I'm able to, the concept that I like is bringing people in, helping them learn and grow mature, then sending that out, they're out on their own to do the same thing. And then
Right.
bringing more people in, and just kind of a factory, I guess. Because, there always be more businesses who need more marketing, right?
Absolutely.
And then the other part of me is like, well, I could not have that, and I could just have the clients that I'm working with do real well for them. And we homeschool, so we have the flexibility to kind of like, oh, let's go to up to the cabin, or let's go out to San Diego or something like that. So then, if I'm not tied down to a space, we can just kind of go and do what we want. And so, honestly, I don't know which direction it's going to go. So I
Yeah.
guess we'll kind of see what happens.
Yeah. No.
Um,
I mean,
but
I appreciate you being transparent with that too.
Yeah, so we'll see. But the thing that drives me the most, it's like a game. I love the SEO. I was a history major in college because that's where all the money is at, being a teacher. Whoops,
I
that
look,
didn't
man. That's
work
how I
out.
started out my education career too.
Yeah, and so, but I love doing research. And so SEO, online marketing, especially with Google and everything happening with AI, it's like a game. That's what people ask me what I do. I tell them I play chess on Google. And
Right.
so
Right.
and so we're always trying new things. So for me, like I don't get burnt out. Like I would
Right.
work if I could work 26 hours a day, I would. Well, I mean, not really. I like to spend time with my family, but like I don't get burnt out because it's like playing a game for me. It's entertainment because I'm looking to see what other people are doing, then I'm doing,
Right.
and we're testing out new things. And that's the funnest part of it. And that's one of the things that I love. It's changing all the time, and you've always got to keep up with something new.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. That is definitely because we've done 550 of these podcasts. We haven't had a ton of marketing SEO, people that kind of specify into what you do. Um, and did I hear you say you call yourself a Google guru?
Well, I'm a Grow with Google partner. And
Okay.
so I do workshops for Google to teach businesses how to work within how to grow their business within the
Right.
Google ecosystem with Google business profiles, online search, Google ads, local service ads, stuff like that. But maybe what you're right. When people ask me what I do, I tell them I play chess with Google.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, because that's
That's good
essentially what
because
we're doing. If we're trying to figure out what they're doing, we're trying to beat them at it. So,
right, one of the people that networks with me, his name's Robin Stern. Shout out to
mm,
Robin right here. He you see how I rolled my eyes? 'Cause I didn't want to give him a shout out. But no, he calls himself the Google Guru. He's similar in the similar facet of what you do.
nice, nice.
A little different. He does. I guess he only does the Google stuff, but different. Anywho, is what do you want to do, Brian? Obviously, I think I know just by listening to you talk what and by what you said in the last the little answer to the last question is, what does Brian want to do whenever this thing's up and running? The kids are. You want to get the kids out of the house and get them going, but what does that look like? When the business is going, the kids are going. What does Brian want to do? What do you want to kick your feet up, travel? What does it look like?
I like to build things.
Yeah.
So like I want to build like what if I have my business running, I didn't have to do anything. I do a lot of nonprofit work.
Hmm.
I like to do a lot of that's one of the things I like about the Grow with Google Partner program. It's kind of like a nonprofit. Everything that we do is for free, and so I like being out in the community and doing stuff and helping out. So I'd like to have the flexibility to do more of that, and obviously spending more time with my family. As they're growing, they're going to have more activities, more things to do. We're already busy every night of the week and on Saturday with sports and stuff. So,
Right.
like, I would like to have more time to kind of spend with that and play guitar. So there's that.
That's awesome. You play guitar?
I do. I'm not as good as I should be for as long as I've been playing because I don't get a chance to
Acoustic
play very
or
often.
acoustic, electric, or bass?
Yes, or acoustic and electric, depending upon what I'm
Beautiful.
playing.
That's awesome. What's your genre?
I like rock. I like rock and country.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I can get
So
down with that. I can get down with that
yeah, I like a
for
lot of
sure.
Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, Disturbed, stuff like that. But then you
Alice
have
in
country like,
Chains.
hey, yeah, I like Alice in Chains.
I was about to say I was listening to Rooster before I pulled up the office this morning.
Oh, nice, nice. But
Greatest
I
performance
grew
of
up in
all time.
Bakersfield, California, so I like a lot of old country too, like Waylon Jennings and Buck Owens and some of like the old classic country. Number one,
Yep.
it's easier to play, but
Yeah.
but it's just kind of more laid back, and that's kind of like a relaxing type stuff. Where the other one is like more energizing, like da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So it's depends
Get the
upon what
heart
kind
rate
of
up
mood
a
I'm
little
in.
bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. See, if I that is one thing that I always wish I would have gotten more skilled in growing up was musically inclined. Just because that stuff's super cool, man. You get to express yourself through music's pretty awesome.
Oh, you're still young. You got a lot of time to figure that out.
This hand, my strumming hand, is got it's not usable for strumming anymore,
Ah, gotcha.
unfortunately. Or it'd be cool, or it would be fun. I would enjoy it. But no, Brian. Kind of, last thing I got for you is, burning the ship. You burn the ship, to the fullest extent of what it means. You went back and said you're going to make it there. You're going to die trying to do it. But what was that emotion when you and your business partner kind of sat there and was like, look, we're going our opposite ways now. I'm about to burn the ship and go all in on myself. What was that like?
It was exciting and very. I deal with a. I was going to say I deal with a lot of anxiety, so it was
Okay.
exciting on one thing because I get really excited about stuff really easily, but I was really anxious at the same time. I was like, okay, now I've got to make sure that I've got kids, I've got to make sure that I can pull this off, and so it was a mix of emotions all at once, but yeah, there was definitely a lot of anxiety and nervousness. Like I know I can do it, but can I really? And so
Right.
that's kind of what drove me to start just learn as much as I could. And luckily, I
Yeah.
was able to get in front of some really good um, teachers, basically to learn what we do. So
That's awesome. But no, Brian, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you so much though for joining us. It really has been a pleasure.